Thank you. First, excuse my weak English, but because there is no translation, so I will try to make you understand. Second, first, let me thank the Westminster Foundation for this workshop, or learning workshop. Second, for her help, the Institute help to my parliament, and to the Arab Parliamentary Union for making this Institute for Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies. The establishment and development of the Parliamentary Training Center, the experience of Arab Institute for the Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies. The importance of parliamentary training. The parliamentary training plays a major role in developing the administration in general. The Lebanese National Assembly gained a large experience in this field, for it hosted during the last year parliamentary and its administration delegation for Arab parliaments. I will not read everything. Okay. Also, the Lebanese Parliament administration sent parliamentarians and administrative employees, the European Union, and many Arabs and international forums to principal in training session and exchange experience. Therefore, the idea of establishing the Arab Institute for the Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies come up. Yes. The Arab Institute for Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies. History and background. The Arab Institute for Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies is a culmination of service year of efforts by the Lebanese Parliament, the Arab Interparliamentary Union, AIPU, and legislative bodies of its 22 member states. The Speaker of Lebanese Parliament was the first supporter the idea. The Institute is an independent, stand-alone institution. It opened the doors in July 2011. Provides workshop, seminars, conference for the members and the staff of Arab parliaments. The picture you see is the training room. There is three training rooms. This is one of them. The second picture is launching of the Arab Institute for Parliamentary. It's training and administrative studies in July 2011. The training utilities. Okay. Auditorium, it's contained auditorium with translation facilities and sitting capacity for 108 individuals. Training room for 26 individuals, full equipped. Then additional training room, sitting capacity for 58 persons. 3, the management structure. The institute and its administrative structure were established by a resolution of the Speaker. The administrative body is composed of the Secretary General of the Arab Interparliamentary Union, who is the supervisor of this institute, the Secretary General of Foreign Affairs, who is the General Director, it's me, responsible for conducting and organizing training programs is Rashid, my colleague, a consultant coordinator of activities, a responsible of website and administrative secretary. For the role of the Arab Institute for Parliamentary Training and Legislative Studies, the mission of this institute is improve the institutional capacity of the performance of Arab legislative body, facilitates the regional training, research and sharing of best practice. The objective of the institute are the provide Arab parliamentarians with the tools and knowledge need to assist them in performing their legislative duties, to provide the Arab MPs administration with the tools and knowledge necessary to improve their parliamentary support service. Studies and researching, exchange the information among the Arab parliamentary in the 20th century. 5, the work of the institute. The institute is session concerning of the parliamentary works, parliamentary committee and challenge facing them. This is in November 2011. Region conference on IT in the Arab Parliament. It's in January 2012. The third one, the first conference of the Arab Parliamentary Libraries. The fourth, training of financial oversight. It's in September of 2012. Training of the human rights. It's in February 2011. The role of the parliamentary in improving the public policy in March of 2013. Second, the local and external activities in Nairobi, Kenya in August 2012. And the International Forum of Policy and Gender, it's in London here in 2012, for a few months ago. Receiving parliamentary delegation, civil society. 6, the donors. A contribution of Arab Interparliamentary Union, a contribution from the Lebanese National Assembly, donation, aids from international institutes such as WFD and UNDP. The last thing is 7, is the challenges, the political and security situation that prevails in the region and prevent the participation of staff from some Arab parliaments in forums, workshops, and seminars executed by the Institute, the dissolution of some Arab parliaments, draw up the training of programs of the parliaments. This, I think, everything about our institute, but I want to say only one word. The way to change is to create something like the Institute of Parliamentary Training. Thank you very much.
I think we are all aware of the special challenges of the region in which the Parliamentary Training Centre operates and its unique role that it has across the region and the importance that of the work that it does, and the fact that it interweaves with the work of TWC and also the rather larger work of WFD in that particular region and other agencies. What we're going to do is hear from the next presenter, Irene Uwanzu from Mozambique, and then we'll hear from the third presenter, Charles Binwe from Uganda, and that should take us up to coffee time, and then we'll have questions afterwards. Thank you.
Good morning to everybody. I also will apologize about my English. It's not very good. My presentation have 4 points. I have introduction, approach, achievement, and lessons learned, and challenges. The Center of Studies and Training in the Mozambique was established in year 2010, but before, the Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Veronica Makamu, she was MP since 2001, and she knew the weaknesses of the Parliament, and she bet to create a center of study, and through TWC, they make a memorandum of understanding and establish the center to training MPs and staff of Parliament. This center starts working at in March 2010 and focuses at the various matters of the staff work in supporting MPs in their roles, representative role, lawmaking, and executive oversight. The vision of the center is to be a center of excellence and reference in providing high-quality research and training service in areas related to Parliament development, and his mission is to support the consolidation and the effectiveness of legislative activity in Mozambique, in Southern Africa region, and by providing services, research, and training of human resource and MPs to fulfill their parliamentary duties. At the beginning, the center focuses their services on 4 main lines: applied research and parliamentary studies, with focus on carrying out a set of research activities with practical utility to feed into works of MPs, standing committees, parliamentary managers, advisors, and technical support through survey of evidences. The second one was parliamentary training with emphasis on the transmission of knowledge that contributes to consolidate competencies and technical skills of staff. We bet at the technical assistance through technical advisory and monitoring of staff, standing committee, and promoting contact with professionals in several areas of expertise, and finally, management of knowledge and the editing of specialized books through reflection, which enable the registration, documentation, and publication lessons of best practices and experience of parliamentary activity. Those activity was in the parliament, but includes municipality and provincial assemblies in training to their consolidation. The center aims to strengthening parliamentary activity through 4 priority areas. The first one was the management and parliamentary procedures. The second one was parliamentary journalism. George talked here about the RegioPan. It's a network of journalists that the center formed, improved the training, parliamentary oversight, and legality and human rights. Approach toward the establishment of the center. First, we combined use of in-house and external trainers. At the beginning, the center focused on partnership between national and international institutions in order to ensure that the service offered fall within international acceptance and reference, and promote sustainability through the transfers of skill by international to national training. And among national training, we specialized internal trainers. I mean the staff of of the Parliament. The Center designed and implemented this own curriculum. In-house training, staff of Parliament developed their training curriculum based on information provided by the Human Resource Department of the Secretariat and were driven by experts of Eduardo Mondlane University. Is the biggest university in Mozambique. Reports of program evaluation before TWC program highlighted that there was some difficulty to identify effective models to build capacity of MPs and staff. And there was some constraints because of the nature of MP and the complexity of their task, storage of time, heterogeneity, political interesting, cost of training, and age of the beneficiaries. So that we try to combine teaching methods who improve the better knowledge. Those teaching methods were legislative drafting workshops focused on learning by doing process, peer-to-peer learning, that encouraging acquisition of knowledge through promotion, contact, sharing best practices, experiences among members of similar committees, and also study visits. Mozambican committees made study visits at the Ugandan Parliament and UK Parliament. We have 2 case studies where dissemination of story of success and best practice experience by MPs, thematic-based problem solving that stimulates members of Parliament learning through discussion and solution finding to concrete problems, field work with a mentor that encouraging hands-on learning on MPs and parliamentary, putting them in direct contact with the issues and key stakeholders. We bet too on self-learning groups, more for staff, that we create study groups formed by staff from a particular department in order to produce reflections on practice, procedure, and internal policies. Basic learning seminars and workshops. There are more theoric seminars and comparative studies, more applicable in internal reforms and production of new legislative proposals. With those approaches, we have achievements in lessons learned. Using internal trainings, we can say that this practice was satisfactory because it enabled them to continue delivering trainings even without the support of international trainers. It consolidates technical methods and approach, increased self-confidence in design and administration of the models in the Parliament and out of the Parliament, to local councils and provincial assemblies. It facilitates harmonization of approaches and styles of organization and administration of training courses. Using internal training in the design and implementation of the curricular give us some good results too. It facilitates the implementation of the activities and rehabilitation. It facilitates the having greater knowledge and ownership of the programs and training contents. A combination of teaching methods arose the interest and greater ownership on the MPs and staff, stimulated leadership and the role of MPs and staff in the design implementation of each stage of the learning cycle, allowed the dissemination of success stories and best practice by MPs, staff of other parliaments who lived similar problems, feeding the inner work, allowed to greater ownership of MPs in the designing term of references and technical documents to produce preliminary legislative drafting, allowed to designing a training package for staff in order to improve MP service through the production of technical reports and other support service, and help in improving the coverage of reporting and spreading of parliamentary work at the level of citizen, facilitate the searching for solution to real problems. The midterm evaluation we did appointed that we need to cover another areas such as human resource development and civil society organization that were not covered at the beginning of the program. And our experience shows that the include of civil society organization in our program contribute to strengthening of dialogue between parliamentarians and members of civil society organization, and to introduction a new model that was parliamentary advocacy. What we learned and what we should make different between those 3 years is the training period. We saw that first we make our training from February to December, all year. And it was not good because between March to May and October to December, we have our plenary sections. And in this period, the parliamentary activity doesn't give us space to monitoring course, and staff is not very present in the training room. And we think that is important to have a training schedule outside the section plenary period, and it's more easier to make a combination between the parliamentary activities and training activities. Other thing is the facilities within the parliament. We have our classroom, I can call classroom, in the parliament. And because of that, staff are not delivered by training because they need to move along their offices to perform some tasks. It's true that is cheaper to have these facilities in the parliament, but we know that if we had other facilities, if parliament had other building training outside in the Parliament, we could have more satisfactory results, and we could have staff in the Parliament. In the classroom more time than we have now. The challenges. Our challenge still, the main challenge are four. The first one is to integrate the center in the organizational structure of the Secretariat General in order to ensure that its sustainability could be provided by the state budget and other funds of the Parliament, to consolidate the management body of staff, getting more space outside from the main building of the Parliament, and consolidate the curriculum component to provide the training, not only at the national level, but also at the Southern Africa and international level region. And thank you.
Maureen, thanks for sharing that with us, the challenges you've faced and the achievements you've made, and looking forward to the future. I know that we have always welcomed you, your colleagues, your clerks and your parliamentarians to Westminster, and we look forward to continuing that when the programme is finished. I'd now like to ask Charles to take the stand. I know that we're running towards coffee time, but since the last coffee wasn't that long ago, I think we'll crack on with Charles, and then we'll have the coffee break, and then we'll come back for questions.
I bring home greetings from Parliament of Uganda, particularly from the Right Honourable Speaker and the Clerk Parliament. And we also would like to thank the Westminster Consortium for supporting us, four of us, the technical officers, to come here and share our experiences with you. I would also like to inform you that Parliament of Uganda is one of the countries that has supported an external delegate to this meeting, which emphasizes the importance to which the leadership of Parliament attaches to this meeting. The chairperson, I don't have a problem with English like my previous colleagues, so I'll try to move a little faster. In this presentation, I'll take you through briefly the introduction. This will cover what Parliament was involved in before the Westminster Consortium, then the background up from the time we got involved with the IPS, what our achievements have been, the challenges, our future plans, lessons learned, and the conclusion. The chairman, Parliament of Uganda, as early as 2002, realized the need to have a mechanism to build capacity for members and staff of Parliament to deliver its constitutional mandate. Consequently, the Parliamentary Commission at that time created what they called the Office of Parliamentary Professional Development to basically mobilize partner support for the legislature and execute coordination of capacity building programs. We had development partners who were interested in building capacity for members of Parliament, and the Commission in Switzerland at that time felt there should be a unit to coordinate that support because there was a big gap for members of Parliament and staff to deliver on their mandate. Because of the performance of that professional office, Parliament institutionalized a department called Planning and Development Coordination Office into the mainstream parliamentary service, which was formed around 2004, and a new department was created, and that is when I also got a job in Parliament at that time to serve as staff of that department. Now, we have been involved in the area in the business of mobilizing support outside the consolidated fund of government and disbursing resources to user units in Parliament to build the capacity of members and staff. Now, after the restructuring exercise in 2012, in recognition of the increased role and expansion of the 9th Parliament, which is now 375 members, the 8th Parliament was a little smaller. Our department was transformed into a formal strategy and planning office, and the execution of training activities was handed over to the IPS. I would like to inform this meeting that with effect of next financial year, the Parliamentary Commission has earmarked resources for the administrative infrastructure of the office. The planning department has produced a baby called the IPS, and the IPS will be there to execute training activities for members and staff. But before we go to, let me first take you briefly what we went through with support from the Westminster Foundation for Democracy and the wider Westminster Consortium. In 2008, the idea of the Institute of Parliamentary Studies was conceived. It got a ready buy-in by the Speaker and the Parliamentary Commission at that time. Support came in from the consortium around 2009 for initial activities. That was basically about, these initial activities included holding several consultations with relevant ministries and similar institutions, preparation of the business plan for the institute, equipping our parliamentary training suite, and developing and conducting a training of trainers courses around selected training modules and curricula. We received strong political goodwill and financial and technical support at that time from WFD. Today, we have parliamentary staff seconded to manage the establishment of the virtual institute. I talk virtual because we don't have a lot of physical space around ourselves. We are utilizing the available space that we have in our offices. These operations were launched last year. We have, in terms of the organizational structure for the institute, we have a parliamentary commission as the final policy organ. The parliamentary commission is you can call it the board for Parliament. It's chaired by the Speaker and has representatives from Parliament, the elected members of Parliament. They are called for backbench commissioners. It has representation from the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Leader of Opposition in Parliament, and the Government Chief Whip. So that's the body that is responsible for running the affairs of Parliament. So it's the policy organ, it's the final organ for the Institute. And below it is a 7-man steering committee that oversees the operations of the Institute, and a full-time secretariat, which will be fully operational next financial year, beginning July, by the way. Beginning 1st July, we shall have, that's when our financial year begins, there will be full-time secretariat responsible for the day-to-day operations of the Institute. What do we consider really as achievements? I'll try to be quick. If questions arise, I'll give you detailed information. I am aware of the time shortage we have. Creation of the institution of the Institute is a very big achievement to us. We now know at any one time in Parliament, we have an infrastructure to use to build the capacity of members and staff to be able to execute on their mandate. When a member becomes a member, he is immediately deployed to execute his duties. And in the majority of cases, you find their backgrounds are not that very close to what the work of Parliament is. And incidentally, the attrition rate of Parliament in Uganda is very high. About 60% of the members don't come back. So this is to us, creating this institute is a very big achievement. We have so far undertaken training of trainers courses to build an expert base. With support from the consortium, we worked with local partners and international partners to create, to create trainers for the institute. And thereafter, we have also had a series of training of trainers to have trainers from within. In Parliament now, we have a core of 30 trainers from within Parliament among staff and members whom we can call on upon any time to deliver on identified training gaps. Our niche in the IPS is skill gap. We know there are institutions around us, universities, other tertiary institutions, which offer knowledge for certificates, diplomas, and degrees. But that is not what our interest is. Our interest is to ensure that a member or staff is given those skills required of him to deliver in his day-to-day work. So we utilize as much of the knowledge he has to make sure he delivers. George knows how we have been able to move people, to make people be able to interpret Auditor General's reports, raise questions to witnesses, and come up with reports and recommendations on the floor of the House. That's what we do. We have been able to develop and deliver training modules. I think we have a list. What we have now, in addition to the 4 or 5 we went through with WFD, we have 14 training modules fully developed and standby for delivery. And we are still developing more because these are still few compared to the gaps that we have. And our target, you may think, is, I have not told you our wider target. Apart from staff and members, we are also developing training local councils. In Uganda, Uganda has a decentralized system. At the district level, there is what we call the District Local Government Council. They are elected members whose work is a mere reflection of what Parliamentary does. They also make rules, regulations, and bylaws in a manner that is reflected at the center. So we are using, the institute is now available to build the capacity of our counterparts at the district level to perform their work better by training councillors and staff of those councils at the district level. In addition, we are also training other stakeholders that work with Parliament. Outside Parliament, we have government officers, we have CSOs, we have media, we have other people who are interested in the work of Parliament, but they never come to know what Parliament does. So the IPS is the opportunity for them to interact with us so that when they are working with Parliament, they are fully aware of the institution they are dealing with. We have also created an opportunity to train other parliaments from around us. We have some of these young parliaments like Somalia, an emerging democracy, Southern Sudan. 3 weeks ago, we got a delegation from Somalia. They were with us for about a whole week, learning from basics, really. What, most of them are appointed, what really they do in Parliament. They come, they didn't know. But after 1 week, they were able to go and do, they told us they were able to do a few other things. That is in response to implementation of special programs, in response to internal and external requests. External requests like that one of Somalia. Sudan, currently we send out people to go there. And internally we are currently receiving requests from different departments and committees on specific knowledge and information gaps. I must also inform you that we are now beginning to get a good reception from development partners. Through our working with the Westminster Consortium, we were able to also attract other development partners. We have now what we call the Democratic Governance Facility. It's basically a European basket fund to help us in some of these program issues. And we think many more will come on board to help. Of course, our challenges that we are attracting a few more support, development support we still have financial constraints, especially at program level. This involves further development of training modules, curriculum development, expanding our information base, conducting extensive training needs assessments, and ensuring that we are up to our target, in supporting our target. Like my previous colleague mentioned, we have the fluid nature of the parliamentary calendar makes activity scheduling a bit difficult. We don't have a fixed parliamentary calendar. We will not be able to determine exactly when we have members and when we don't have them. I think this is not a new thing, it's a common thing in most of our African countries, but we shall grapple with it. For as long as they are around, we have developed that voluntary, what we call the voluntary attendance approach. When members are there, we put up our calendar, we say Monday and Friday, this is going on in the training suite. And they come. So for as long as they are there, we'll have something to teach them. Also, we currently don't have, young as we are, we lack a comprehensive training needs assessment and strategy for our target clientele. We are still grappling with initiation. We're at the nascent stage. So what we need, a full-blown and living training needs assessment report, so that we can always jump on any time and handle our clients. What are our plans? We can institutionalize a cost recovery mechanism to build a revenue base. The local councils who will come to be trained, or the trainers we send there, or indeed any other target audience that comes for our services will be charged. And slowly we should be able to cover most of our administrative and, to some extent, development needs. We have to develop, we're planning to develop and institutionalize a training calendar so that at any one time, this emanates from our view that Parliament of Uganda should be seen as a learning and informed institution at any one time. At any one time, there should be something taking place to do with learning. So we are trying to put across a training calendar for a whole financial year, predictable, so that we know during these periods, this is what is going on. When we are sure that there will be recess, then we concentrate on staff. When we are sure that members will be around, then we concentrate on members, so that people can easily predict. And of course, some of these training programs also change over time. During the first year of a parliament, induction is the issue, to ensure that members are oriented on their mandate. The second year, they have grasped issues, so they want to go to specifics. So this calendar will reflect the training needs and emphasis. We plan to expand our services to local governments and other partners. And of course, in the long run, it is our dream to build a home of our own. We have limited space, as I'll show you down there, but if we can have an institute of our own with specialized facilities for it, would be good. What have we learned? We now know that good political will is very vital for any of the programs to take off. If it had not been because of the good political will of the Speaker and the Parliamentary Commission to provide for Parliament and insist on it, it would be difficult for the IPS to have been realized. Then involving stakeholders. We initially had a challenge with staff, with the Human Resources Department. The mandate of the Human Resources Department in most organizations has to do with training. So when this idea was mooted of an Institute of Parliamentary Studies, the first reaction was, say, so you are going to replace our training unit in the department? We said, no, we are here to complement your work because you are not exhaustive. We have 402 staff to train, 375 members. There is quite a lot to be done. All we need is you have a gap to identify staff needs, and we are there to execute and then report to whoever is interested in our impacts and reports. Parliamentary training is unique and may not be effectively handled by other training institutes. At the beginning, the TWC thought they would hinge this unit in Makerere University or any other known training institution, but we realized it wouldn't work. The work of Parliament and indeed in legislation is unique and requires specialized training. So, that you set up a specialized unit to handle training for members and staff is extremely important. That is how we think we'll succeed, by having our training. And in Uganda, it is not uncommon. The police have their own training institute. The army has its own training institute. The civil service has its own training institute. The reasoning is that they are the only institution that can ably handle the needs of their people. Then we also know now that training activities such as those of MPs, such as those of the IPS, require adequate visibility and prominence. Having the IPS hidden under a department or under a unit without being visibly seen and maybe reporting to clerk level may constrain its operations. So the Parliamentary Commission is seriously considering having the IPS as a separate program like any other department of Parliament, which to us is good. On behalf of the cracked Parliament, on my behalf, I extend our appreciation to the TWC in nurturing the IPS. We look forward to healthy working relationships as we build democratic institutions in Uganda and the world over. And we promise hard work for the Institute's visibility and prominence with the selected initiatives. I thank you. I'll be available for questions and answers.
Charles, thank you very much for sharing that. You've achieved a huge amount in a very short time, and we all understand the challenges of working in parliaments and timetabling, but we look forward to being able to support you as you go forward.